Hey everyone, it's Pam here with the second try on this. The first time I didn't have my microphone on, which was no help to anybody. But I want to talk to you quickly if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur about 1099s. Now stick with me because this is kind of important. And I know it's boring and I know it's awful, but it's important. And there's a deadline looming here of January 31st. So I really want to make sure you understand kind of what the requirements are of you as a business owner. So a lot of us are used to getting 1099s, so we're very used to the fact that we can get them. But as a business owner, you also have a responsibility to send them out. And it's a responsibility that if you don't take into account can come back to you in the form of fines from the federal government. So here's the scoop. You are responsible as a business owner for sending out 1099s to any of the vendors who qualify for them, whom you have paid in the last year. Now, the good thing is there are a whole bunch of them you can eliminate from your pool, okay? So you don't have to send them to everybody. And what I want to walk through here is a process that you can go through to make sure that you're in compliance as easily as possible. One huge caution, disclaimer, whatever you want to call it. I have pulled this together from the tax advisors for a number of my clients. So this represents a collective pool of tax opinions. Big disclaimer, big warning. Check this out with your own tax attorney to make absolutely sure they agree with what I've put together from the various folks I've talked to. I'm not a tax accountant. Don't pretend to be one. Don't want to be one. But I do quarterback the tax accountant at my various clients, and that's where this has come up. So just want to get this word out there to people. Here's the story. You owe 1099s to every vendor that you've paid in the prior year if you've paid them more than $600. Now, there's, of course, an exception to that, and that is if you pay royalties, and there are a list of some other things that your tax accountant should check, then that minimum is $10. So literally, if you've paid somebody royalties of $10.50, you need to issue them a 1099. Now, here's the really, really good news. For any vendor that you have paid with a credit card, with PayPal, with Stripe, with Square, any other third-party type mechanism, credit card, debit card, then you do not have to file. And that's the piece I want you to confirm with your attorney, because there are a couple of varying opinions on that, but the general consensus seems to be that if any third-party payer, and that includes PayPal, Stripe, Square, credit card, debit card, if you've paid via those mechanisms, those people are responsible for filing the 1099s for you. So you don't have to worry about them. You really are only having to worry about the people that you've written a check to, cut an ACH to, or paid in cash. Those are the ones that you're responsible to file the 1099s for. So a process that my clients and I have developed to put in place around this, and we've learned it the hard way, frankly. So we figured we'd share it with you so you don't have to learn it the hard way. You want to make a list of everybody you've paid, or have your accounting system dump out for you, your bookkeeping system tell you, here are all the people I've paid anything in 2017. Then eliminate anybody who doesn't add up to $600 for the year, because you don't need to worry about them. Eliminate anybody who's international, because you don't have to worry about them. So this is only for domestic U.S. businesses and only for people you've paid. If you're a domestic U.S. business, only for people you've paid who are also domestic U.S. businesses or sole proprietors. So you can eliminate anybody who hasn't been paid $600. You can eliminate any international vendor. Then you can eliminate anybody you've paid via PayPal, Stripe, credit card, debit card. That's going to leave you a very small, much smaller list in this day and age, usually, of vendors that you may have paid by check or ACH from your checking account. That's the list of vendors that you need to issue 1099s for. Now, there's a catch-22 in all this as well, right? So I'm telling you this at the end of the cycle when it's time to file. The deadline for filing those 1099s is January 31st for the prior year. What you really want to do going forward is anybody that you're going to pay by check or ACH, make sure you get them to fill out what's called a W-9. It's your responsibility as an employer to ask for, request, provide a blank for them to fill out of a W-9 form. Very easy to get that right on the internet. I'll put a link in the comments. Anybody, and I would have them fill out and return that to you before you issue them a check. So that way you're absolutely sure you're complying. Then you want to hang on to that W-9. And what you're looking for in that W-9 is if they check S Corp or C Corp, you just file it and never worry about it again. But if they check sole proprietor, LLC, LLP, anything like that, anything that's not an S Corp or a C Corp, then you want to file it, and you're going to want to consider them as somebody you give a 1099 at the end of the year. So the bottom line is, if there's anybody you're paying by check or ACH, you should have a W-9 on file. And for all of those that are sole proprietors, LLPs, LLCs, you're going to need to file 1099s for them at the end of the next year. So that's it. The nice thing is, if you pay everything via other mechanisms, you don't have to worry about this. But again, I caution you, check that with your tax provider just to make sure they interpret it the same way. I'm going to put in the comments here a link to a W-9, a link to a 1099, and I may actually, a little bit later, after we get through this January 31st deadline, do another live here, but with a screen share showing you in detail what I'm talking about on those forms. In the meantime, sorry that Thursday is a tax Facebook Live, but we are coming up on that January 31st deadline, and for any US-based entrepreneur, this is a really important one to listen to. So I ask that you do that, and post any questions here. I'll get back to you with my answers. And again, check it out with your tax accountants just to be sure. So now that the tax tip is behind you for today, I wish you a great Thursday, good rest of the week, and a wonderful weekend. Take care.